the other big issue that they've got right now is the border. And we know you guys are watching this show, so we've covered it plenty. I mean, the border is in effect open right now, and thousands of people are pouring through the border. We're giving them phones, we're giving them benefits. We don't know where they are. Much of this happened while we were in this pandemic, and they were allowed to come in without masks while we wouldn't let our own citizens from foreign countries come in with masks. I mean, just all of the litany of nonsense, right? It just never ends. And then, of course, yesterday there was actually a truly horrific, tragic event where 51 migrants were coming in a van that I think caught fire, right? What happened? Did it catch fire? I think it caught fire, but 51 migrants were killed on their way in because the government has signaled to people. Health and Homeland Security Director Becerra and Biden and Kamala, they have signaled to people, oh, you can come. And then every now and again they go, oh, don't really come. But they basically said come. The van was actually abandoned in the heat, and they in essence died of heat stroke. It was a semi-truck. I mean, horrific, like actually just like beyond horrific. Whether they should come here or not, 51 people are dead like that. And their only reason they're dead is because they thought they could get in, because our policies are so muddled, and they probably knew people who did get in. So what's happening is, as this type of stuff leaks out, even the people who have backed Biden, who have backed all of the progressive policies, who have called Trump and the rest of us racist for wanting a wall or wanting a border or whatever else, even they are now realizing that they were wrong. And here is guy who is pretty much always wrong about everything, Joe Scarborough.
It's one thing I don't understand. It's kind of like when I talk about homelessness, there's nothing progressive about having people sleeping in 10-degree weather, sleeping on grates. That's not progressive. There's also nothing progressive about encouraging migrants to risk their lives going across the desert to come into the United States illegally.
It's just extraordinary, though, because it is progressive to do that. It is progressive to say that borders are not good and that everyone can be here and we are here for everybody and open for everybody. And by the way, we're also the most evil, racist country on the world. I don't know why you want to come here, but okay, you can still come here. And yes, homelessness is progressive because everywhere progressive politics are put into practice, that is where homelessness thrives. That's where you get tent cities. That's where you get the drugs and the rest of it. Do I have to go through Seattle and Portland and San Francisco and Los Angeles and Denver and everywhere else? That's where it's happening. So you can say it's not progressive. And I get that you guys, you pretend that we all are, there's something wrong with all of us. But I get it. You guys have like a bug in your brain. And that bug is like, you cannot make the connection between all the stupid things that you say and do and votes that you make and then what that actually does to people on the ground. So you're saying it's not progressive, but actually it's the most progressive thing. Having people come to a country that there is not enough resources for them or have high tax positions so that more and more homelessness comes into a city. These are the progressive policies of today. It's just that you sound like a nice guy as you're ruining everybody's lives. We've got more from the televised mental institution known as MSNBC. Here's Willie Geist realizing finally that Biden and the Democrats have a problem.
There was a special election just a couple of weeks ago down along a border district, a place where a Republican hadn't won in a very long time, and a Republican took that district. So we've talked about this with progressive pollsters, by the way, who say this idea that Latino voters in America are all in and they have this open mind and they'll go with Democrats wherever they go on immigration is just wrong. It's just folly and it's not true and it's patronizing in many ways to make those assumptions. So yeah, Democrats will have to reassess because some of them may not want to use the word crisis, but it's exactly what it is down along the border when you have Customs and Border Patrol having 7,000, 8,000 encounters and apprehensions a day on the border. That is a crisis.
So there's a couple interesting things there. One of them is that the Republican that he's referring to, that he refuses to say her name, you know her name, it's Mayra Flores. She won in Texas's 34th district as a Republican. It had been Democrat controlled for 100 years. You may remember that Elon Musk supported her. He said it was the first time he had ever voted for a Republican. It is a border city. It is a place where people are getting the first order effects of this crazy immigration policy when the Biden administration refuses to protect our border, which is one of the few things that the federal government is actually supposed to do. But they won't say her name. And that's not nothing. because think about the way the entire mainstream media pushes AOC down our throat, pushes Ilhan Omar down our throat, and the rest of the squad. We know their names because they're good, young, pretty or something, progressive politicians, so we should all know them. But here you have a young woman who is a mother, who is Latina, who is an extraordinary human being. She wins in Texas, right, getting rid of 100 years of Democrat rule, and we're not even going to say her name. We're not even going to say her name.